Part 1, Section 5. Adam Smith as the father of the Marxian exploitation theory. What enables Marx to believe that the conditions of a wage earner under capitalism are essentially the same as those of a slave under outright slavery is first of all a set of three gross errors propounded by no less than Adam Smith, the man who is generally regarded as the father of capitalism. The first of these errors is the confusion of labor with wage earning, as though to perform labor were synonymous with wage earning. The second error is drawing the inference that in a world in which there are no businessmen or capitalists, but only manual workers, the income of these workers is wages. The third error is that on the basis of these errors, profit appears as an income that was originally wages, and naturally and rightfully still is wages, but is now taken from the wage earners to constitute the profits of their employers. These errors are clearly expressed in the following passages from The Wealth of Nations. Quote, "The produce of labor constitutes the natural recompense or wages of labor. In that original state of things which precedes both the appropriation of land and the accumulation of stock, i.e. capital, the whole produce of labor belongs to the laborer. He has neither landlord nor master to share with him. Had this state continued, the wages of labor would have augmented with all those improvements in its productive powers to which the division of labor gives occasion." And he continues a little further on. "But this original state of things, in which the laborer enjoyed the whole produce of his own labor, could not last beyond the first introduction of the appropriation of land and the accumulation of stock. It was at an end, therefore, long before the most considerable improvements were made in the productive powers of labor, and it would be to no purpose to trace further what might have been its effects upon the recompense or wages of labor. As soon as land becomes private property, the landlord demands a share of almost all the produce which the laborer can either raise or collect from it. His rent makes the first deduction from the produce of the labor which is employed upon the land. It seldom happens that the person who tills the ground has the wherewithal to maintain himself till he reaps the harvest. His maintenance is generally advanced to him from the stock of a master, the farmer who employs him, and who would have no interest in employing him, unless he was to share in the produce of the labor, or unless his stock was to be replaced to him with a profit. This profit makes a second deduction from the produce of the labor which is employed upon land. The produce of almost all other labor is liable to the like deduction of profit. In all arts and manufactures, the greater part of the workmen stand in need of a master to advance them the materials of their work and their wages and maintenance till it be completed. He shares in the produce of their labor, or in the value which it adds to the materials on which it is bestowed, and in this share consists his profit. Adam Smith's notion that profits are a deduction from wages contradicts everyday experience, but it has gone unchallenged for almost 2.5 centuries. In normal everyday business and accounting practice, profits are not a deduction from anything. On the contrary, they are the result of deductions. They are what remains after the deduction of wages and all other costs from sales revenues. Nevertheless, Marx makes Smith's gross error, Smith's treatment of the result of deductions as though it were a deduction, the starting point of his exposition of his world-famous exploitation theory. The exploitation theory begins with Smith's notion that profits are a deduction from wages, and then goes on to claim that the size of the deduction is limited only by the worker's need for enough wages to keep themselves alive. We need to start with the fact that capitalists do not deduct profits from wages, do not steal profits from wage earners. Contrary to Smith and Marx, the economic world did not begin in a condition in which all income was wages, and then only later, when capitalists appeared on the scene, did the phenomenon of profit emerge, as a deduction from what was originally all wages. Indeed, Marx himself, had he looked, was in a position easily to realize this.